The distance that cannot be measured. There are distances in life that cannot be measured without difficulty. A road has its kilometers, a room its walls. A journey is beginning and destination. We have become so accustomed to measuring the world in this way that we rarely notice how much confidence measurement gives us. Once the distance has been given a number, it seems less mysterious. 10 kilometers can be traveled. 100 kilometers can be planned. Even 1,000 kilometers, though difficult, belongs to a language we understand. There is a place from which we depart, a place toward which we move, and between them lies an amount of space that can be crossed. Time is based to offer us the same convenience. We divide it into hours and days, months and years, and because the numbers behave so obediently, we begin to imagine that time itself must behave with equal obedience. Tomorrow is one day away, the next year is 12 months away. An old memory belongs to a date that can be located on the calendar. The future seems arranged before us like a road, whose signs have already been erected. Yet there is something peculiar about tomorrow that the calendar cannot explain. Suppose a person awakes early and looks at the clock. Midnight is 16 hours away. By afternoon it is 8. By evening it is 3. The distance appeared to be shrinking exactly as expected. And there is nothing remarkable about this because clocks were made precisely to describe such movement. At 11:59 there is only a minute left. A minute later, tomorrow should have been reached. But what has actually been reached? The date has changed. The clock has crossed the boundary invented for the useful ordering of human life. Yesterday has received a new name. Today has inherited the old promise. And somewhere almost unnoticed the word tomorrow has moved again. This happens every night, yet familiarity has made it nearly invisible. A person can spend an entire life approaching tomorrow without ever standing inside something called tomorrow. Whatever is entered becomes today. Whatever can still be called tomorrow remains elsewhere. We know this so well that it sounds almost childish when stated plainly, and perhaps that is why we seldom remain with the thought long enough to discover how strange it actually is. There are truths that become difficult not because they are complicated, but because they are too close to ordinary experience. We walk across them every day. Their familiarity disguises their depth. A child waiting for a birthday understands tomorrow differently from an old man waiting for news from a doctor. Someone expecting a wedding does not inhabit the coming day in the same way as someone awaiting a farewell. For one person, tomorrow seems painfully distant. For another, it arrives with frightening speed. The clocks reach them equally. 60 minutes remain 60 minutes regardless of who is suffering through them. Yet lived time refuses this equality. 5 minutes can disappear unnoticed, while 5 other minutes can feel large enough to contain an entire night. Perhaps this should make us suspicious of the confidence with which we speak about distance and time. We say that something is getting closer. We say that the future movement is almost here. We say that we are approaching an event as though we had seen the road and measured the remaining ground. Much of this language is useful, of course. Without it, ordinary life would become unnecessarily difficult. Trains would be missed, appointments forgotten, promises made meaningless, but useful language can conceal philosophical problems precisely because it works so well in practical life. A map does not become the landscape simply because it helps us to cross it. Neither does the calendar become time simply because it helps us organize our days. There is another difficulty. When we imagine the future, we almost always place ourselves inside it. We picture the room, the conversation, the person we might become. We imagine looking backward from that future place and remembering the present as something already finished. In imagination, we perform an extraordinary movement without noticing it. We leave the only moment in which we actually exist and construct another present somewhere ahead. Perhaps this is why anticipation can become so powerful. The mind rehearses arrival so convincingly that the body begins responding to something that has not happened. Fear can accelerate the heart because of conversation still days away. Hope can make an ordinary morning beautiful because of something expected next month. Regret can even travel in the opposite direction. allowing a past decision to occupy a present room long after the room in which the decision was made has disappeared. Human beings are remarkably capable of living beside moments that are not physically present. And yet, beneath all these movements of imagination, something remains stubbornly simple. We are here. Not yesterday, not tomorrow. Here. That statement has been repeated so often in philosophy that it risks becoming decorative, the sort of sentence placed beneath photographs of sunsets. But stripped of decoration, it presents a serious problem if we are always here, and tomorrow is always spoken of from here. What exactly do we mean when we say we are moving toward it? Perhaps the wrong question is how far away tomorrow is. Distance assumes two positions that can be compared. Place one stone at one end of a field and another at the opposite end, and the ground between them can be measured. But time does not present itself to us as two stones lying simultaneously beneath the same sky. We possess the present position. The other is known through expectation, calculation, memory, fate, fear, inference, and imagination. We speak confidently about what lies ahead while standing in a place from which ahead cannot yet be entered. Still, it does not make what lies ahead unreal. That distinction matters. Something needs to be presently accessible in order to have consequences. The city beyond the horizon does not cease to exist because the traveler cannot see it. The letter already sent may be traveling toward the person who does not yet know that his life will change when he opens it. Somewhere a decision may already have been made whose consequences have not reached the people who will eventually live beneath them. Reality has never required our awareness in order to be real. Perhaps time deserves the same humility. We are tempted to believe that what cannot yet be experienced is somehow less substantial than what surrounds us now, but the future does not ask permission from the present before becoming consequential. Every choice quietly assumes that there will be somewhere for its consequence to arrive. Every seed placed into soil is an act performed toward a condition that does not yet exist for the person planting it. Every apology delayed, every kindness offered, every promise broken, every page written and every door left unopened sends something forward. We may not know the shape of what receives it. That uncertainty is where the mystery begins. A person walking through fog does not create the road by taking the next step. The step merely reveals another portion of ground before the foot arrived. That portion could not be seen, yet it would be strange to conclude from invisibility that there had been nothing there. Life sometimes feels remarkably similar. We move and things appear. We continue and meanings change. Something that seemed enormous from a distance becomes ordinary when reached. Something barely noticed while passing becomes important years later. A sentence heard once returns after a decade carrying a meaning it did not seem to possess when first spoken. A loss that appeared to close, and the entire world becomes, without ceasing to be a loss, the beginning of a road that could not have been imagined from the place where grief first stood. This is not proof that everything happens for a reason. No permission to decorate suffering with explanations we do not possess. It is something quieter, an admission that the meaning available. It is something quieter, an admission that the meaning available at one point on a journey may not be the only meaning the journey contains. The traveler sees according to position, and position changes. Perhaps that is why some questions should not be answered too quickly. An answer can sometimes become a wall erected where a road was still continuing. Certainty feels satisfying because it ends the discomfort of wondering, but not every mystery is improved by being closed. There are questions whose value lies partly in what happens to the person who carries them. Tomorrow may be one of those questions. Not because tomorrow is unknowable in every ordinary sense. We know perfectly that Monday follows Sunday. We can predict sunrise with astonishing precision. We can arrange meetings months ahead and arrive at them within minutes of the appointed time. None of this is in dispute. But beneath that ordinary tomorrow, there remains another question, one that cannot be settled by turning a calendar page. If every tomorrow we reach becomes today, then perhaps what we have been calling arrival is only a change in our position. And if our position changes while something else remains beyond it, then the mystery is no longer merely when will tomorrow come, it becomes when exactly it has been moving all this time.